All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our lesson on the Declaration of Independence. We've been kind of dancing around this subject and speaking about the Declaration of Independence for a few days now, but we haven't really had the chance to dig into it yet, and now is that time. So, to begin, we have to frame it in context of American history. So, we've had several events that we've discussed leading up to the Declaration of Independence in 1776, where we are already technically at war with Great Britain, where there have been multiple taxes, multiple acts have been laid down, multiple decrees have been laid down from King George III on the American colonists that are less than savory. We're not really a fan. So, eventually, the Founding Fathers, during their stay in the Second Continental Congress, decide to politically sever the bonds that they have with Great Britain. So we're going to do just a little bit more digging into the Declaration of Independence because this is one of the most, if not the most important document in all of American history to us. All right, so first let's start up top. Hopefully you can follow my cursor as we go along. So it is written by Thomas Jefferson on behalf of the American colonists. Please make sure you put an S on colonists because we're speaking of a plural amount. And it is written to King George III. And if we're being real about it, you could also add, and other nations. So this is not the entirety of the Declaration of Independence. We won't make you read all of that. However, I would like for you to read certain sections of it. So you're going to need a writing utensil. Maybe a highlighter would also be a good idea in addition to that. So there are a couple different colors going on. And make sure you keep your margins nice and clear. As for the essential question for today, we can write, I can type, great. How did the Declaration of Independence reference previous events in colonial history, and how did it impact our government? Please excuse my slow typing. All right, so that's our essential question for today. How did the Declaration of Independence reference previous events in colonial history, and how did it impact our government? All right, so we're going to start off. Remember, this is Thomas Jefferson physically writing this down, but it is not just his set of ideas that are that we can attribute to the Declaration. So he starts out, this is the actual first paragraph. He says, when in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bonds which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them, a decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation. All right, we don't necessarily need the entirety of that. Mind you, that's one sentence. Fair warning for the remainder of Unit 1 and Unit 2. Our Founding Fathers are very long-winded. They greatly enjoy run-on sentences, like so very much, okay? So let's hop up back to the top, and now that we've heard it in one good time, let's go back through and break it down. We're going to analyze it, so we're going to break it down and explain the pieces. So it becomes necessary, so let's circle necessary. Make sure that you're annotating. I can't annotate because I have a cursor, but you have a writing utensil, and you can. So for necessary, let's put needed. For one people, and by one people, and feel free to pause at any time and replay so that you know what I'm saying. One people. This people is lowercase, but they're referencing, Thomas Jefferson and the Founding Fathers are referencing the colonists here. To dissolve the political bonds which have connected them with another. So let's underline dissolve the political bonds which have connected. Over here in the margin, you can use that space and say break up with Great Britain, and to assume among the powers in the earth, ... laws of nature and nature's God entitle them. A decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes. So let's circle declare. We know what that means. That is to say the causes which impel them to the separation. So let's do a squiggly line underneath impel them to the separation, and let's put why we broke up. Because if we're being serious about this, this is the GOAT breakup letter. The greatest breakup letter of all time. I know that y'all don't write breakup letters. You're too cool for that. You just ghost people. Okay? Don't do that. It's rude. All right. Next, we are not going to read every single sentence of this. I'm surely not going to read this to you. You can read it yourself. I would like for you to take a second and read all the way through it. And when you have done that, as a listening check, put a smiley face in the upper right-hand corner of your note sheet. I will see this when I do a binder check. All right, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. Let's go ahead and circle equal. That's going to come back to haunt us in a second. Let's move forward. That they are endowed by their Creator. Oh man, here it comes. With certain unalienable rights. Okay, let's go ahead and circle or highlight unalienable rights. And let's put over here in the margin John Locke. John Locke. That among these are life. Let's put a check mark. Liberty. Let's put a check mark because both of those are John Locke. But then we hit a little stumbling block down here under pursuit of happiness. John Locke's original three, if you recall, are life, liberty, and property. Okay, and then the pursuit of happiness is over here. All right, and that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving, here we go again, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. Let's go ahead and circle consent, and over here to the side, or wherever you can find some space, let's write permission. So far we've seen one of our four philosopher people in here. Okay, and as we keep going, we're going to see another one. That whenever any form of government becomes destructive to these ends, oh man, it is the right, let's circle right, of the people to alter or abolish it, and to institute new government, ... Okay, so let's highlight, circle, dramatically mark, however you'd like to, the right of the people. Let's start over here. The right of the people to alter or abolish it. I hope you know who this philosopher is that he's referencing, because there's a question coming up. All right, hopefully you got that correct, as this is Jean-Jacques Rousseau. Okay, so Rousseau, overthrow. If your government doesn't work for you, tear it down. Build yourself a new one. Okay. We are going to knock down to the bottom here at the but when a long train of abuses and usurpations. Let's circle this, and let's put down here, if we can find some space, problems. It's just a large word for problems. Usurpations. Okay. Pursuing invariably the same object evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism. It is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. Okay, so right here, let's go ahead and write in this large space down here, we are making a new government. We are making a new government. Please abbreviate the word government. All right. Okay. So this one, such has been the patient suffrage of these sufferance, of these colonies, ... The history of the present King of Great Britain, King George III, is a history of repeated injuries, here's that weird word again, usurpations, all having in direct object the establishment of an absolute tyranny over these states. We should know what this is because we talked about this word tyrannical in its adjective form with the philosophers. So let's circle tyranny. And let's put abuse of P and A, okay, abuse of power and authority over these states. To prove this, let facts be submitted to a candid world. Hashtag big facts, okay? So as we move along, we'll see that he has refused, he has forbidden, he has refused, ... Okay? Basically what Thomas Jefferson and the Founding Fathers do now is make a big old laundry list of all the terrible things that King George III has done. Okay, we're going to go through and highlight only that which pertains directly to us and pertains to the events that we've been talking about for the few days. Okay, that one is not super important. Let's do this one, okay? This third one. He has refused to pass other laws for the accommodation of large districts of people, unless those people, here we go, you know what this is, you just haven't heard it phrased this way, unless those people would relinquish the right of representation in the legislature, a right inestimable to them and formidable to tyrants only. So right here in this blank space underneath it, everybody with me so far? I sincerely hope so, okay? He has refused to pass other laws. Let's paraphrase this, and let's write in this space. He has taken away self-government. He has taken away self-government. Okay, and these bottom two sections, he has called together legislative bodies. Well, we'll go over this and spot check this. But this says essentially the same thing. He's made it very difficult for them to pass laws that are good for the colonist population. All right, we know this one, this next one. So let's flip over to the back. if you have not done so already, at the very top here. He has endeavored to prevent the population of these states for that purpose, obstructing the laws for naturalization of foreigners, refusing to pass others to encourage their migration hither, and raising the conditions of new appropriations of lands. Okay, so let's circle migration hither, and let's think about an act or an event or some type of proclamation that King George III laid down that says you cannot migrate in a certain direction. I hope that you remember this act or proclamation because there's a question coming up. All right, hopefully you gathered that that was the proclamation of 1763, and this stops migration west. Okay, so we can paraphrase this underneath here as stops migration west. All right. All right, so let's hop down here to where it says for quartering, for cutting, for imposing, for all of these things. All right, so for quartering large bodies of armed troops among us, beside that right here, let's put Quartering Act. The second one we should definitely know, for protecting them by mock trial. These troops, these armed troops, for protecting them by mock trial from punishment for any murders, circle murders, which they should commit on the inhabitants of these states. Let's hop down here real quick and let's put Boston Massacre. That is the murder that he is specifically murders, I should say, that he is specifically referring to. 5 of them total. For cutting off our trade with all parts of the world, let's circle cutting off our trade, and we can use this margin over here to paraphrase. This is referencing the Navigation Acts. The Navigation Acts. All right, let's see. All right, let's hop down real quick to this one. He has excited domestic insurrections among us, and has endeavored to bring on the inhabitants of our frontiers, the merciless Indian savages, whose known rule of warfare is undistinguished destruction of all ages, sexes, and conditions. Okay, so over here in the corner, let's put, he has made our native situation worse. He has made our native situation worse. If you are confused as to who he is, I'll give you a small refresher. They're referencing King George III. Okay? Oh my, that's not what I wanted to happen. All right, so let's hop down to the very, very bottom. Okay? In every stage of these oppressions, we have petitioned for redress in the most humble terms. So let's go ahead and circle petition for redress, and let's paraphrase up here wherever you've got space. Tried to work it out. Tried to work it out. Our repeated petitions have been answered only by repeated injury. A prince, they're not even calling him a king anymore, shade, whose character is thus marked by every act which may define a tyrant, ooh, here we go, going for the jugular now, is unfit to be the ruler of a free people. Okay, over here in all caps, let's put democracy. Democracy in all caps. Okay, and you know how I feel about you writing summaries, so give me the Sports Center top 10. If you had to paraphrase in 3 sentences, what is the Declaration of Independence about overall? Let's go ahead and summarize that at the bottom. Congratulations, you have survived our in-depth experience of the Declaration of Independence.